Hey guys, I'm Ismail Sheikh. Today we are going to learn about SQL Stored Procedure. So before we get started, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Let's learn. In this video, we are going to discuss what is a stored procedure, what are the different types of stored procedure, and how the stored procedure works, what is the syntax of it. Also, we are going to check what are the different benefits of using a stored procedure. And at the end, we will check the practical part and we will check how we can create a stored procedure in real time using Object Explorer as well as the query method. So, what is a stored procedure? SQL stored procedure is a batch of statements grouped as a logical unit and stored in a database. So, it's something like a code which you can save and you can run and you can reuse that code again. So, this increases the performance of your code as well as you can repeat the code whenever you need it. So this saves time whenever you use a store procedure. That's one of the benefits that we are going to discuss it later on. Now let's check one by one what are the types of store procedures. The first one is system defined store procedure, and these store procedures are stored in the system databases, and usually it starts with sp underscore and the store procedure name. Now these prefix, that's sp, it's not usually used when it comes to user defined procedures, but it's used for the system defined store procedures. Let's check how it looks like. So this is our SSMS, and if we go to any system databases, you can see these system defined store procedures. Now you can see different types of system defined store procedure here. Each store procedure has its own function, like sp rename is used to rename a database object like store procedure, view and table. Similarly, we have sp underscore help. It's used to provide details on any database object, and we have different kinds of similar SPs which has different functions. So that is how these system defined store procedures work. The next type of store procedure is extended store procedure. These store procedures provide an interface to external programs for various maintenance activities. So if you want to call any external program from your server, these store procedures can be called, and these store procedures are stored in your master database, and always these store procedures are seen with a prefix of xp. And you can see an example here. These examples has different functions. As you can see, for this particular store procedure, it's used to log an event in the NT event log of the server without raising an error on your application side. And the second one, which says exec xp underscore login info, and this is the login name. This store procedure will display details about the built-in administrators Windows group. The next one is user-defined store procedure. These store procedures are created by the users for their own actions. So if you want to create any store procedure, you can create it using some queries, and these will be user-defined store procedures. It has some syntax. We will check that in the next part. Let's move on to the next type, which is CLR Stored Procedure. CLR Store Procedure is a special type of procedure that is based on CLR, that is Common Language Runtime. Now you can utilize this store procedure to add your code which is in C# or Visual Basic or F# code. And this particular feature was introduced in SQL Server 2008, and this comes handy whenever you're trying to connect your application with your store procedure, or if you want to code something in your store procedure. Now let's check the syntax part for store procedure. So whenever you're trying to create a store procedure, it should start with the keyword create and the procedure, and then you have to add a procedure name to it. And after that, you need to add as and your set of code or your SQL statement. After that, you need to insert go, and you can end it with semicolon. And how to execute the store procedure? you just need to either type in execute or exec and then your procedure name. Now there's another method to create a stored procedure. You can use Object Explorer method to create it. So Microsoft has already provided that feature. You can go to any database and you can create a store procedure by yourself. So all you have to do is you have to right click on store procedure and you can add a store procedure. It will create a template for you and you just have to enter the values as defined here. So if you want to follow the procedure, here are the steps. Now you want to connect to your Object Explorer. First of all, you need to connect to your instance. After that, you need to expand the database, and after that you have to select your programmability option, and after right clicking on that, you will have to click on new store procedure, and after that you will see set of templates which will be ready for you, like this one. Now after that, you need to enter all the parameters which are there in the dialog box. Let's take an example of it. Now if you want to enter any parameter, you need to define a value for it, and if there is any field which tells you to enter author name, you can either enter your name if you're writing that store procedure, or if there's anyone else, you can write their name as well. If you want to add a date, you can do that as well. If you want to add your description for your store procedure, like what it does, how it does, you can add that data here. Like if we take example of human resource store procedure, you can add a description to it, like it returns employee data. Also, you need to add a procedure name, like here you can see it's human resource.usp get employees test. Now you can add a last name or any parameters that you want to add, like param1. Also you can add any data type you want, like here you can see n-varchar, which is the string type. If you want to add any default parameters, you can do that as well, and so on. So this is how you can create a store procedure using Object Explorer method. Now let's check the practical part of how we can create a store procedure on your SQL Server Management Studio. So this is your SQL Server Management Studio. If you want to create a new store procedure, you need to select your database first. You need to connect to your database instance first, and then you need to add some queries. So this is the store procedure that I'm going to create, which is sp_select from all tables. I'm going to select all the information from these tables, that's chat form, customer, engineers, incident, item, provider, register. Now before creating a store procedure, you need to add create command and then procedure, and then you have to give the procedure name. After that you have to add as, and then you have to insert all the statements that you're going to add in your store procedure. Once you are finished, you can end your statement with go with a semicolon. After you are done with creating the store procedure, you can execute the store procedure using exec under and your store procedure name. So let's see how it works. I'm going to select this store procedure name, store procedure, and I'm going to execute it. You can see commands completed successfully. That means our store procedure has been created. If I want to check how and where your store procedure is, you can go to your database, you can go to your programmability section, and then you can refresh it. Under store procedure, you will see your new store procedure created. Now if you want to execute this store procedure and check if it's functioning properly, you can select your store procedure with exec command and execute it. You can see all the statements have been executed and information from all these tables is on your screen. So that's how you can create a simple store procedure. This is a very simple way of creating a store procedure. In the next session, we will learn how to create complicated ones and how you can increase the performance of store procedure. Now let's check different benefits of stored procedure. The first one is it can be easily modified. So whenever you are using your stored procedure, instead of making changes in your code, you can just put an altered procedure statement and you will be able to do the changes at your SQL Server side. Instead of making changes on your application code, you can directly do it on your procedure side as well. The second benefit is that it reduces the network traffic. So instead of writing the whole code, it only passes the procedure name, which reduces the traffic. The third benefit is it's easily reusable, and this is the most important benefit I can say, because instead of writing your code and saving it somewhere else, you can save your store procedure and you can use it multiple times, just like a function in your application side. The fourth benefit is it's secure, so it eliminates the threat of direct access to your table. Also, you can encrypt your store procedure. That's how it creates a secure environment for your store procedure. And the last one is the performance. Obviously, it will increase the performance of your store procedure as the network traffic is reduced